All right, you beautiful bastards, strap in because today we're diving headfirst into some seriously trippy shit. We're talking AI research and podcasts that practically write themselves. Yeah, you heard that right. So picture this: you're drowning in research papers, your brain's fried, and you'd rather eat glass than read another goddamn sentence. Suddenly, boom, this AI swoops in, devours all your notes, and spits out a fucking podcast summarizing everything. Sounds like some sci-fi bullshit, right? Well, get this, it's not. Meet NotebookLM, Google's latest brainchild that's been making waves since they dropped the experimental label back in October. Apparently, this bad boy can summarize documents, answer questions based on your research, and even create these audio overviews that are basically like podcast episodes about your work. I don't know about you, but I'm already halfway to building an altar to this thing. Before I sacrifice my firstborn to the AI gods, let's break this down with someone who actually knows what the hell they're talking about. So walk me through this NotebookLM thing. What's the deal with this virtual research assistant? Crap, is this some next level plagiarism machine or what?
Let's cut the crap and get to the point. NotebookLM is essentially a tool that allows you to upload all your research papers, notes, PDFs, even those hideous Google Slides presentations, and it creates a personalized knowledge base from that material. Think of it like a digital brain that's been trained specifically on your work.
Hold on, so it's not just pulling from some giant generic database. It's actually analyzing MY shit and making sense of it. That's kind of freaky, but also kind of badass.
Precisely. And because it's learned from your specific content, it can provide much more tailored summaries and insights. You can ask it questions like, what are the main takeaways from this research paper? Or what are the strengths and weaknesses of this particular argument?
Okay, I'm starting to see how this could be useful. But how the hell does it actually work?
Yeah.
Is it just some fancy algorithm spitting out pre-written summaries? Or is there some actual intelligence behind this thing?
What's fascinating here is that NotebookLM utilizes Google's latest AI model, Gemini. This model is multimodal, meaning it can understand not just text, but also images, videos, and even code. That's what gives it the power to analyze research in a holistic way, connecting insights across different formats.
All right, so it's not just some dumb word processor on steroids. This Gemini thing sounds pretty damn powerful.
Yeah.
But how does it actually create those podcast-style summaries? Is there some tiny voice actor trapped inside my computer, or what?
The audio overviews feature is where things get really interesting. Essentially, Gemini takes all the information it's gleaned from your research and uses it to generate a conversational summary in audio format. It's like having an AI companion discussing the key points of your work.
Holy shit, that's wild. So you're telling me I can just dump all my notes into this thing and it'll basically create a podcast episode explaining everything. Sign me the fuck up.
Well, it's not quite that simple. While the technology is impressive, it's still important to remember that NotebookLM is a tool. It's meant to augment your research process, not replace it entirely.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not quite ready to hand over my entire brain to the machines just yet. But this whole thing still feels like a game changer. When did this even come out? Did Google just drop this bomb on us out of nowhere?
Its origins actually go back to 2023 when Google was teasing something called Project Tailwind. They've clearly been working on this for a while, and it seems like they've finally cracked the code.
So they've been secretly building an army of AI podcasters in their basement lair. That's some next-level Bond villain shit right there.
Perhaps not quite, but the official release of NotebookLM in October certainly made a splash. Researchers, students, and even companies are scrambling to figure out how to integrate this technology into their workflow.
Yeah, I bet. This shit could change everything. But before we get too carried away with the hype, let's take a step back and think about the bigger picture. What does this mean for the future of research learning and even just thinking in general?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one we'll be exploring in more depth throughout this deep dive.
All right, you beautiful bastards. We're just getting warmed up. Stick around as we unpack the mind-blowing potential and maybe even some of the potential pitfalls of this AI revolution. We'll be right back after a quick message from our sponsors.
Welcome back, you glorious knowledge junkies. Before we lost ourselves in a haze of sponsor-induced bliss, we were knee-deep in the digital guts of NotebookLM.
Yeah, my brain's still trying to reboot after that last segment. This whole AI podcast thing is blowing my mind, man. It's like we're living in some crazy-ass sci-fi movie.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. While the idea of AI generating podcasts might seem like something out of a cyberpunk novel, the reality is a bit more nuanced.
All right. Let's cut the dramatic bullshit. Give me the lowdown on how this thing actually works in the real world. On the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts, the whole damn enchilada.
Well, imagine this. You're a historian trying to make sense of a mountain of primary sources, letters, diaries, official documents, the whole shebang. Instead of spending weeks sifting through dusty archives, you feed all that information into NotebookLM.
Hold on, so I can just dump a bunch of ancient scrolls into this thing, and it'll tell me what some dead dude had for breakfast back in the 18th century.
Not exactly, but it can analyze those primary sources, identify key themes, and even draw connections between seemingly unrelated events. It's like having a team of research assistants working around the clock, except without the coffee breaks and existential angst.
Okay, that's pretty damn impressive. But let's say I'm not a history buff. What about us regular folks who just want to learn some new shit? How the hell can NotebookLM help me out?
Let's say you're fascinated by quantum physics, but you wouldn't know a qubit from a quark. You could gather articles, videos, even those mind-numbing online courses and feed them all into NotebookLM.
So I'm basically creating my own personalized quantum physics crash course taught by a robot.
In a way, yes. NotebookLM can analyze all those sources and create a structured overview of the topic, highlighting the key concepts, explaining complex theories in simple terms, and even generating practice questions to test your understanding.
Damn, that's actually pretty badass. I might finally be able to understand what the hell Schrodinger's cat is all about.
The applications are virtually limitless. A marketing team could use it to analyze customer data, a lawyer to sift through legal documents, a musician to explore different musical genres.
All right, I'm starting to see the potential here. This isn't just some fancy toy for academics. It's a goddamn Swiss Army knife for anyone who wants to learn research or just explore new ideas.
Precisely. And the beauty of it is that it's constantly evolving. As AI models like Gemini continue to improve, NotebookLM will become even more powerful and versatile.
Okay, so we've got this amazing tool that can potentially revolutionize the way we learn and think. But let's not forget that with great power comes great responsibility, or some other cheesy Spider-Man quote.
Indeed. While the potential benefits are undeniable, it's important to approach this technology with a critical eye.
All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What are some of the potential downsides of this whole AI-powered research thing?
One concern is the potential for information overload. NotebookLM can condense vast amounts of information, but that doesn't mean we should be consuming knowledge at a breakneck pace.
So it's like mainlining information directly into our brains. Sounds kind of dangerous, if you ask me.
The analogy is apt. We need to be mindful of our own cognitive limits and avoid the temptation to become passive consumers of information.
Right, we don't want to turn into mindless zombies just regurgitating AI-generated summaries. We got to keep those critical thinking skills sharp, or we're all fucked.
Precisely. And that brings us to another important point. NotebookLM is a tool, not a replacement for human judgment and expertise.
Okay, so we can't just blindly trust everything the AI tells us. We got to use our own brains too, which, let's be honest, some people might find a bit challenging.
The point is that AI tools like NotebookLM should be used to enhance our abilities, not replace them entirely.
Right, we got to stay in the driver's seat, even if we're letting the AI navigate the information superhighway. But enough of the metaphors, let's get real.
The key takeaway here is that while NotebookLM is an incredibly powerful tool, it's still in its early stages. There are bound to be bumps along the road, unexpected challenges, and ethical dilemmas we haven't even considered yet.
Sounds like we're in for a wild ride. But hey, that's what makes this whole AI thing so damn exciting. It's like we're on the cusp of some crazy new era, and we're all just trying to figure out how the hell to navigate it.
That's a rather astute observation. And on that note, let's take a brief pause to let our listeners absorb all this mind-bending information. When we return, we'll delve into some real-world examples of how NotebookLM is being used both for good and for, well, let's just say for things that might make you raise an eyebrow or two.
All right, you magnificent bastards. We're back and ready to dive into the wild world of NotebookLM in action. Last time we left off with some pretty heady questions about the implications of AI-powered research. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm itching to see how this thing is actually being used out there in the real world. Is it all sunshine and rainbows, or are there some dark, twisted corners we need to explore?
Well, let's start with the good stuff. We're seeing some truly innovative applications of NotebookLM across a wide range of fields.
Hit me with some examples. I want the juicy details, the success stories, the whole goddamn 9 yards.
Take the field of medicine, for instance. Doctors are using NotebookLM to analyze mountains of research data, identifying potential breakthroughs in disease treatment and drug development.
So this thing is actually helping save lives. That's pretty damn impressive.
There are also cases of scientists using NotebookLM to model complex climate data, leading to more accurate predictions and potentially informing policies to combat climate change.
All right, so we've got disease-fighting robots and climate-saving algorithms. Is this the beginning of some utopian AI future where all our problems are solved by machines?
Don't get ahead of yourself. While these applications are certainly promising, it's important to remember that AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for both good and bad purposes.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about the dark side of the force. What kind of shady shit are people using NotebookLM for?
There have been reports of students using NotebookLM to generate entire essays, essentially bypassing the learning process altogether.
The classic work smarter, not harder approach taken to its logical extreme. But seriously, is that even ethical? It's basically cheating in check now.
The ethical implications are certainly complex and worth considering. While some argue that it's simply a new form of academic assistance, others see it as a threat to the integrity of education.
Damn, that's a tough one. I guess it all boils down to intent. Right. Using NotebookLM to deepen your understanding of a subject is one thing, but using it to churn out plagiarized essays is a whole other level of bullshit.
Precisely. And this highlights the need for open discussions and clear guidelines around the use of AI in education and beyond.
Okay, so we've got the good, the bad, and the ethically ambiguous. Where does all this leave us? Are we on the verge of some AI apocalypse, or is this just another step in human progress?
The future is always uncertain, but one thing is clear. AI is here to stay. The question is, how do we shape this technology to serve humanity's best interests?
Right. We don't want to end up as slaves to our own creations.
Yeah.
We got to stay one step ahead of the machines or we're all fucked.
That's why it's so important to be informed, to engage in these conversations, and to think critically about the role of AI in our lives.
All right, you brilliant bastards. Let's wrap this up with some final thoughts. We've explored the mind-blowing capabilities of NotebookLM, from summarizing complex research to creating personalized learning experiences. We've also delved into some of the potential downsides and ethical dilemmas, reminding ourselves that AI is a tool that can be used for both good and evil.
Ultimately, the future of AI is in our hands. It's up to us to use this technology wisely, responsibly, and with a healthy dose of skepticism.
So stay curious, stay informed, and stay the hell away from those AI-generated cat videos. They're just a gateway drug to a life of mindless scrolling and algorithmic enslavement.
Well said. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Peace out, motherfuckers.